The Zarquin Dominion had conquered countless worlds, each one falling with little resistance. Their warships hung over Earth like silent gods, casting long shadows across the cities below. To them, humanity was nothing more than another primitive species, disorganized and violent, but ultimately insignificant. The Dominion's high command had analyzed the data. Humans fought among themselves constantly, their nations divided, their wars messy and inefficient. Conquering Earth would be no different than the 100 planets before it. A simple show of force, a swift decapitation strike, and the survivors would submit. When the first wave of troops landed, the silence was unsettling. Cities that should have been bustling with life were eerily empty. Scattered resistance was expected, but the usual panicked crowds, the desperate pleas for mercy, were absent. The Dominion's forces advanced cautiously through the deserted streets, their commanders growing uneasy. Satellite scans showed heat signatures in buildings, underground tunnels, and dense forests, but no formations, no clear enemy lines. Still, the order was given: secure key locations, take control of resources, establish planetary governance. The battle was already won. Then the first squad vanished. No distress calls, no weapon discharges, just gone. A recon team sent to investigate never reported back. In another sector, an entire armored convoy was destroyed overnight, reduced to twisted metal and scorched earth. Surveillance drones captured flickers of movement. Humanoid shapes that emerged from the darkness, struck with precision, and disappeared just as quickly. The Dominion dismissed the losses as anomalies. Their technology was superior, their firepower unmatched. No primitive race could challenge the might of the Dominion. Yet, as the hours passed, the pattern repeated. Patrols disappeared. Officers found their barracks infiltrated. Soldiers dead in their sleep. Supply lines were severed. The once bold Zarquin warriors began to hesitate, their confidence eroding. This wasn't a battle. It was a slow, calculated hunt. The humans weren't fighting for survival. They were toying with their invaders. Panic crept into the ranks. Reports surfaced of soldiers being lured into alleys, only for the entire squad to vanish, their gear left behind in neat little piles. Dominion command posts received disturbing transmissions, eerie, whispered warnings in their own language. The invaders, so used to being the hunters, had become prey. When the Dominion fleet intercepted a single human transmission, they finally understood their mistake. The message was brief, spoken in a calm, unwavering voice. Asterisk, you shouldn't have come here. Asterisk, by the time the Dominion realized they had underestimated Earth, it was too late. The cities they thought they controlled had become traps. The streets were killing fields. The wilderness a death zone. Their forces were dwindling, not through grand battles, but through a relentless, invisible war. And then on the fourth night, every Dominion officer received the same chilling message on their comms, in perfect, fluent Zarquin dialect. Asterisk, welcome to the Hornets' nest. Asterisk, the Zarquin Dominion had faced resistance before, but never like this. There were no front lines, no organized armies to crush, only the shadows that swallowed their forces one by one. The streets of every occupied city had become death traps. Soldiers patrolled in squads of 10, then 20, then 30, yet it made no difference. The larger the group, the bigger the target. They tried to impose order, executing civilians suspected of aiding the resistance. But the more they killed, the more ruthless humanity became. The Zarquin learned quickly. Earth's people did not break under oppression. They adapted, they retaliated, and they never forgot. Explosions erupted at random. A troop transport detonated on a supposedly secured highway. A supply cache was destroyed in the heart of a Dominion stronghold. Their ships, even docked in high-orbit safety, began suffering mysterious failures. Systems shutting down, engines malfunctioning. Entire decks vented into space as if sabotaged from within. Still, the Zarquin pushed forward. They increased their patrols, scanned every inch of occupied cities, tracked power usage, body heat movement. But their technology, so advanced and precise, failed them here. Humanity had learned to fight without being seen. They used the ruins to their advantage, moving unseen through tunnels, sewer systems, abandoned skyscrapers. Snipers eliminated officers in broad daylight, only for the shooter to be gone before reinforcements arrived. Streets became choke points filled with hidden explosives. Buildings collapsed onto patrols at just the right moment. Zarquin troopers who once marched with arrogance now flinched at every sound. Panic set in. Supplies dwindled. The Dominion's elite commandos were sent to eliminate the resistance, only to disappear like the rest. The few that returned spoke of ghosts in the dark, of humans that seemed to anticipate every move. It wasn't war. It was extermination. The psychological toll was devastating. Soldiers stopped sleeping, too afraid they wouldn't wake up. Superiors executed their own men for insubordination, desperate to maintain control. Entire squads refused to leave their bases at night, knowing they'd be next. The resistance never spoke to their invaders, never demanded terms. They simply destroyed. One attack, then another, always precise, always devastating. The Zarquin found themselves facing an enemy that did not break, did not retreat, and did not forgive. Then came the final blow to their morale. A high-ranking commander, desperate for answers, managed to capture a resistance fighter, a single human isolated alone. The commander demanded to know how many of them were out there, how they knew the terrain so well, how they had crippled an empire's war machine. The human only smiled. Asterisk, we're everywhere. Asterisk, an hour later, the command center was gone, reduced to nothing but fire and debris. The resistance had let the commander live just long enough to deliver their final message. The Zarquin weren't fighting an army. They had disturbed a hive. The Zarquin Dominion had conquered planets through sheer force, but brute strength meant nothing now. Their war machine was failing. Asterisk, asterisk, not because they lacked weapons, but because they lacked control. Asterisk, asterisk, every strategy collapsed the moment it was executed. Every push forward ended in another massacre of their own troops. Desperation took hold. High command, unwilling to accept defeat, ordered the ultimate escalation, orbital bombardment. If they couldn't rule Earth, they would burn it. Within hours, the skies turned red as fire rained from above. Cities were reduced to smoldering ruins, entire landscapes scorched beyond recognition. Millions perished, and yet humanity did not submit. The resistance only grew more determined, more ruthless, more relentless. The bombardment should have crippled them. Instead, it gave them a new battlefield. The charred skeletons of once great cities became perfect hunting grounds. Smoke concealed their movements. Rubble provided cover. And every broken structure became another opportunity for an ambush. Then came the impossible counterattack. The Dominion's planetary command center, one of the most fortified structures on Earth, was breached from within. Security was absolute. Entry was impossible. And yet, alarms blared, gunfire erupted, and by the time reinforcements arrived, the entire facility was in flames. The humans hadn't just attacked, they had infiltrated. High command scrambled for answers. How had their encrypted networks been hacked? How were humans disrupting ship communications from the surface? It wasn't just brute force. It was precision. The resistance understood their technology, repurposed it, turned it against them. Then came the final, unforgivable disaster. The Dominion's flagship Malkuroth, a vessel so advanced that no enemy had ever touched its hull, was hijacked. A group of captured humans, prisoners, weak and unarmed, somehow overpowered the crew, seized the controls, and crashed the ship directly into the heart of the Dominion's fleet command. The explosion was seen from orbit. The shockwave tore through the sky, sending debris raining across the planet. The Zarquin, once the undisputed rulers of the battlefield, now watched their own warships turn against them. The chain of command shattered. Officers panicked. Soldiers deserted. Entire squadrons fled. The Dominion had never prepared for this. They had prepared for a war, not for annihilation at the hands of an enemy they had provoked. Retreat was ordered. The once mighty invaders, so certain of victory, now fought not to win, but to survive. Their fleets scrambled to evacuate, but humanity did not allow them to leave unpunished. In the final moments, as the last of the Dominion's warships fled Earth's orbit, a single message was transmitted across every enemy channel. Not a warning, not a threat, a simple declaration. Asterisk, this is not your galaxy anymore. Asterisk, the Zarquin Dominion never recovered. Their war machine, once unstoppable, had been broken, not just in battle but in spirit. Their fleets limped back to their homeworld, carrying the few survivors who had seen Earth firsthand. These soldiers did not return as warriors. They returned as warnings. The story spread faster than the Dominion could silence them. Whispers of an unconquerable world. A planet where warriors did not die, but evolved, where every loss only made them stronger. The tales varied, each more terrifying than the last. Some spoke of entire battalions disappearing in the night, never to be seen again. Others claimed that Earth's people had hacked into Zarquin warships with nothing but scavenged equipment and sheer audacity. Some even swore that humans had infiltrated Dominion command structures before the war even began. At first, the Dominion's rulers dismissed these as exaggerations until the nightmares began. Their soldiers, their officers, their admirals, asterisk, asterisk, all haunted by what they had witnessed, asterisk, asterisk, they awoke in cold sweats, hearing whispers in the dark, hearing the last message left for them before their retreat. Asterisk, you shouldn't have come here. Asterisk, the Dominion tried to recover. They sent scout ships back toward Sol, but none returned, whether destroyed or simply too afraid to report back. No one knew. What they did know was that Earth had not been weakened by the war, it had been forged by it. Across the galaxy, the message was clear. Mercenaries spoke of shadow fleets, human warships that moved unseen, striking down anyone foolish enough to approach Earth's borders. Traders whispered of black sites where human scientists were dissecting alien technology, preparing for the next war before it even began. And in the dark corners of space, warlords and conquerors who had once mocked humanity now feared the name of their world. One by one, they scratched Sol from their star maps. No trade, no war, no interference, asterisk, asterisk. One Dominion senator, desperate to understand what had gone wrong, met with one of the last surviving generals from the invasion, a veteran of 1,000 wars, now a broken figure, eyes hollow, voice shaking. The senator demanded to know how an empire, like the Dominion, had lost to a single planet. The general simply stared ahead, his voice a whisper. Asterisk, we did not invade a world. Asterisk, asterisk, we disturbed a hive. Asterisk, the senator left in silence. He knew the truth now, the truth that the entire galaxy had come to accept. Humanity was peaceful until provoked. And now, every species in the cosmos understood why Earth had earned its name, the Hornets' nest.